In my early 20s, when I first felt the push to improve many aspects of my life, books became an important resource in my efforts. Over the years, I've typically gravitated towards books about spirituality, living a minimal and intentional lifestyle, overcoming mental health obstacles, and how other places on Earth do things better. That being said, I've never been a big reader. It's hard to put myself in the right mood to pick up a book. And even when I am, I've never been that good at reading. I've always known throughout school that the likelihood of me retaining any information from a reading assignment or textbook wouldn't stick. My reading renaissance of my early 20s came about when I realized I could more easily absorb information when I actually care about the subjects, and when I rely on these authors to provide some sort of answer or new perspective in my life. But even still, now that I look around at all the books I've collected over the years, if you pointed to one book, even like the ones I would consider had the most profound impact on me, I could not tell you what exactly I learned from it. Here, let's try it. This is probably one of my favorite books that I've ever read. Can I remember anything from it? I have no idea. Social programs lead to a better society. Success can be a lot of different things. Comedy. And their brand of comedy and being a corporate douchebag doesn't bring you happiness, and success can be a lot of have a meaningful career, give back to your community. Oh no, I went full Jay Baruchel. I'm done with this. This inability to remember most of what I've read in the past is not a great feeling. Not only does it make me question if reading all of those books was just a waste of time and money, but it also just kind of makes me feel stupid. It's been brought to my awareness that there are many tips and strategies out there that readers can implement to better remember the contents of books. Taking notes, making index cards, highlighting, marking pages with sticky notes. But for me, I don't know, I'm not a scholar. I'm not using these books for research or teaching or anything where a deep understanding of the facts is imperative. I'm just trying to improve my life. And if doing so is going to start feeling like a school assignment, then I know I'm going to lose the drive. But through some personal exploration and even learning a little bit more about my own brain, I have come to see books and their impact on my life in a new way, and I would like to share with you how I got to this perspective. And just as a disclaimer, I am pretty much just talking about non-fiction books here. I am not much of a fiction reader at all, unless it comes to graphic novels. Everything I need out of fiction I usually get through movies, video games, TV shows, stuff like that. To use big boy psychology words, I think I have a great episodic memory, but poor semantic memory. Semantic memory is how you remember hard information, like facts, dates, numbers, definitions. Episodic memory is personal experiences, life events, conversations, and to my surprise, actually includes geographic location of things. When I first learned about these concepts, I remember telling my wife, that must be it! I must be really good at one and not so much the other. That explains why, everybody says I have a really good recollection of my childhood. I am actually really good at directions, and I can remember topics from pretty much any conversation we've had, but not so much anything that I've learned in a book or a podcast. I must just have a really good... What's it called again? And then my wife promptly reminded me it's called episodic memory, because it turns out she has a really great semantic memory. In fact, even as I'm trying to look more deeply into semantic versus episodic memory for this video, I found some web articles and research studies about the subject. Started skimming through everything, immediately noticed nothing was sinking in, and just went back to the Vox video that had originally introduced me to these concepts, and followed that up with a crash course video. I remembered how much I survived off of these crash course videos for literally everything in college when reading wasn't cutting it. Long live Crash Course. I was curious to see if there was any kind of online informal quiz to see if this could be measured, strengths in episodic memory versus semantic memory, but I could find no such quiz. I'm not exactly sure what would contribute to strengths in one or the other, and no, it's not definitively that I am great in one and not the other, but it at least really helped me contextualize why nothing has ever really stuck for me while I'm reading. Like how I could be reading just one paragraph and feel totally spaced out really quickly. That feeling that you get when the words just kind of overlap and your eyes just kind of bounce around between the lines, and all of a sudden I'm working harder to just read the damn line than actually retaining the contents of the words. You know, that totally normal thing that happens to everyone while reading. Oh wait. That's not normal. Oh my god. I think I'm dyslexic. How did I go 28 years of my life without knowing this? Like, aren't there supposed to be people in elementary schools to catch these things early on? Like, isn't there somebody out there being able to diagnose these things properly when someone is showing any signs of neurodivergence and being able to provide the proper accommodations from an early age? Hey, babe. You know how you're going back to school to study neurodivergence? Why did nobody diagnose me dyslexic?
Okay, so there are a lot of reasons why kids get not diagnosed or misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed. It's not that we haven't experienced different neurodivergences throughout all of time. It really all depends on, you know, your teachers, if they know what to look for, because so many people don't know. There's such a small sample of people who are researched. And so really only, you know, people look for maybe stereotypical behaviors or disruptive behaviors. But if you're someone away really that's well connected.
Because I'm trying to keep this video under 10 minutes, let me paraphrase what Robin is saying. Yes, way too many learning disabilities and neurodivergent folks have gone undiagnosed, misdiagnosed, or seen as behavioral issues for far too long. After taking an unofficial "Do I have dyslexia" test online, I'm fairly certain the answer is yes, I have dyslexia. I brought this up to many people, and everyone always says, oh, try audiobooks. Yeah, audiobooks do remove the barriers caused by dyslexia. But here's also where I'm going back to semantic memory. Yes, I more easily absorb information in the moment when I'm consuming an audiobook, podcast, radio program, YouTube video, documentary, or lecture, but it's pretty rare that this information sticks with me long term. At least rare that I have as easy of a time recalling this information as I would a personal memory, a place, an experience, a conversation, or group discussion. It seems like everything is working against me to be able to get the most out of books. If I can pick up a book and list just one or two pieces of raw information I gained from this book, that would be a miracle. But is one or two pieces of information really worth the hours and hours I've spent reading? Working harder than most people just to get these words to stick with me? Do books give me anything? I read some of these for classes in college. These books contain a wealth of information on the history of oppression, the names and dates of those who fought hard and sacrificed so much to make the world a more equitable place, the major turning points in the fight for racial justice. I can say I've read these books cover to cover, and I cannot tell you one bit of information that I remember from them. But I do remember who I was before I read these books, and who I was after. And that's what got me thinking that even if I couldn't write a book report on the information contained in these books, I can at least say that I am a changed person for having read them. I'm far more aware of my privilege and my role in the ongoing fight for social equity. These books didn't leave me so much with information, but emotions, empathy, a broader perspective, a deeper relationship with myself. And this more emotional transformation this information gave me has affected the way I interact with people in the world in a far more positive way than I was prior to being exposed to this information. This is just one example, perhaps the most direct example, of the profound emotional ways books transform me. Books have helped me see my life and the world around me in new ways, instilling greater senses of creativity, perspective, living a meaningful life, wonder. To me, books are most impactful when they impact me in the same way a conversation might. And like, during a meaningful, insightful conversation with someone you care about, you're not taking notes, you're not highlighting, you're not putting sticky notes on the parts you want to come back to. But through the countless number of conversations you have throughout your lifetime, after all the new perspectives and emotional transformations brought about through listening and observing, you slowly become the person you are today. Maybe I don't remember what specific information I read that sparked these emotional experiences. Maybe I wouldn't do so hot on a multiple choice quiz testing me on the contents of some of these books. Maybe I gotta read the same paragraph 3 to 4 times in order for its information to really stick with me. but it should be no wonder that books are at their most impactful for me when their information enters my memory, not so much as hard fact, but as emotional experiences that have shaped me into who I am and how I see the world. Thank you so much for watching. Alexander Hamilton. This one is about how a bastard son of a whore and a Scotsman dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot. And just kidding, I never read this. This is my wife's.